closing at 49,451. And the NASDAQ declined 2%, closing at 22,597.
We'll cap the week with a look at CPI.
Investors are focused on tomorrow's inflation data to see how it may impact future Fed interest rate decisions. January's consumer price index releases tomorrow morning, and expectations are for CPI to show a 0.3% monthly increase on the headline number, as well as a 0.3% increase on the core number. The annual rate of inflation is expected to fall to 2.5%.
That is Stifel, Director of Investments, Eric Robert. Thank you. That's the Wall Street Wrap on KMOX.
Tonight, clouds and 34. Friday, pretty nice day, sunny and up to 55. Lots of clouds are back Friday night and 39. Next weather system is for about 50% of the weekend. Saturday, Valentine's Day, clouds dominate, rain developing mid to late afternoon on Saturday. Going to squeeze out some dry time, 52. Saturday night, though, from start to finish is wet, all in the form of rain. Sunday, maybe a couple of leftover showers really early in the morning, otherwise partly sunny. The bulk of Sunday is a dry day and 57. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Right now, it is 52 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Looks like the crash has been cleared as the delays are easing now northbound on 255 at State Street. Still seeing volume approaching this incident westbound on Highway 64 just past Olive Clarkson out near the Chesterfield Parkway West exit. Folks are driving, coming to a complete stop westbound on Highway 64 there just for a short period, then getting back up to speed a little past that short stretch there. You're heavy near Timberlake Manor. Westbound on 64, you're on the brakes now from before Kings Highway out to McCausland. I'm Frank Ladd on the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
It's Thursday here on Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter. Of course, I'm Kevin Wheeler. I'm back here in St. Louis. And, you know, with Matt down in Jupiter, I think the best way we can go on a day-to-day basis is just kick things off with our spring training report.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
All right, so first of all, nice to see us both with our matching little blue shirts. Do you have a robot on yours too, or no?
No robot. It's a plain blue shirt.
Close enough. We're we're matchy today. What's going on, man? What'd you see today? Anything interesting at all with the first full day of pitchers and catchers?
Yeah, Matthew Liberatore threw a live BP session. He faced off against Pedro Pajes and Jimmy Crook, so that was fun to see. I think he threw probably 30, 35 pitches or so. But he's the kind of the first guy to do that. There was a lot of talk about Liberatore today. Derek Gould got the question in: is he going to be the opening day starter? In the spirit,
how fast
of
did Ollie swat that away?
as quick as you might think. But Ollie did make it clear that they view it as a competition for that opening day starter's role. I think it's Liberatore or May, and I mean, just listening to people talk today, I think they're trying to set Liberatore up for that spot. But there was some news today, Kevin.
Okay.
First off, Lars Nootbaar's rehab is going fine. It's right on schedule. The growing pains of basically having a brand new facility, they do not have the piece of equipment that is needed for him to continue on the phase where he's at right now in his rehab.
Yeah, it's a lower gravity treadmill, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yes. So eventually that will be here at the facility. It's just not right now. And they're going to have him finish this phase of his rehab in California. And then once he gets done, which is expected to be like 2 or 3 days after first full squad workout, so we're probably talking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the latest of next week, that's when Nootbaar is going to get here. They are not taking opening day off the table. This doesn't mean that his progress is slower. It's just simply they don't have this piece of equipment and they don't want to interrupt his rehab process. So that was the first thing. Second thing, Ivan Herrera is not 100%. And with him not being 100%, the insurance companies are pushing back on him getting the insurance to participate in the WBC.
Right.
So there's going to be a resolution at some point in the next few days, in all likelihood, on what the answer is going to be. My spidey senses say that Herrera's not playing in the WBC, but he really, really wants to. So if they can get this figured out from an insurance standpoint, he will. But that's up in the air. And then I thought it was interesting. We had speculated whether or not the Cardinals had put in a waiver claim on George Soriano and the 3 other times that he had been DFA'd throughout the last few months. And Heim did confirm that indeed they did put a waiver claim in at least
didn't
once.
Have a high enough claim.
Yeah, they never were. They never gave him the claim. So that's kind of the news of all that came from Heim. He met with us today for the first time of spring. And I thought those were some solid little nuggets here on our first pitchers and catchers.
That's the kind of good info you're going to get in the first couple of days. And I do think that it illustrates a couple of things. I mean, as we just kind of tick through those topics, Matthew Liberatore is the most established starter you have back in terms of your organization. So if there's an internal candidate, it's way more likely him than Michael McGreevy, who has about a half a season's worth of starts under his belt. And Liberatore, while he's only been a starter for a full season, he's been around for several. And the other guys are all, well, I mean, Palante's been around, but he's certainly not, after last year, not a guy you're going to put in that competition. But May is probably your highest upside and is also the quote-unquote veteran of the staff. And if he looks good, wouldn't surprise me if it's him. But it certainly seems like either him or Liberatore make the most sense.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I don't know how anybody, barring injuries or barring something crazy happening, I don't think that's going to play out. And on the other thing, we just got a message from Brian. I missed this, to be perfectly honest with you. But Ivan Herrera did announce just a couple hours ago that he will not be participating in the WBC. So there's our resolution to that.
So the Newt Bar update doesn't concern me because it's nothing new. We knew that his rollout in the spring was not going to be immediate. The way that they framed it when they described the procedure way back when he had it was that opening day is possible, but it's not guaranteed, which means the beginning of spring training was never guaranteed. So to me, that is a good update, and it's really important information, especially when it's that he's not here because of the piece of equipment not being here, not because he's not ready to be. But it just kind of confirms what they had already said, which is opening day is probably still up in the air, which is fine. We knew that. The Herrera thing is a little bit more concerning to me in the sense that I only in one way. It doesn't concern me at all about his place on the team, his bat, anything like that. But it does mean that in my world, the catching thing is way more of a long shot. Because if you're not cleared at this point as a player who's trying to prove something about your ability at that position, I'm not sure you're going to make that up if you're getting a late start on the spring. Because what you have to show is more than one thing, but the only way you're going to show that is by being behind the plate.
Yeah, it's a valid point, Kevin. And like bluntly, I don't have much of a response to it, except to say that I still think they're going to give him every opportunity in the world to be a catcher. I just get the sense
I don't doubt that. I'm just doubting the outcome.
Okay, so I don't think that their outcome has changed yet, if that makes sense. Sometimes you just have an idea of something that's going to happen. I don't think they're just like doing a solid for Ivan Herrera because he wants to be a catcher.
No, they want it to work for sure.
Yeah, they do.
I want it to work. I'm just doubtful.
I want it to work as long as he stays in the lineup. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, him behind the plate needs to be part-time. No matter what, it needs to be part-time, even if he's going great, because we need the bat in there every day. You don't want him having to take a game or two off a week because he needs to rest. And if you're catching full-time, that's what it is. You want him in there for as close to 150 games as you can. And by him, I mean his bat. And it's part of the reason, Matt, they moved Contreras out from behind the plate to first base, is they wanted the bat in there more. They didn't want to lose time to days off or to nagging injuries or getting hit by pitches, by foul balls or by bats or whatever. Yeah. So you make that move. And I think the same thing holds with a guy like Herrera, who is clearly more valuable with the bat than with the glove. And in that case, you protect that.
Agreed 100%. And there's a lot of time left in spring, right? And there's there's plenty of time for him to still get behind the plate and prove that he can do it. I guess my bigger question is, there was so much made of the curriculum that he was working through in the offseason. Well, what does that actually look like if you're not healthy enough to really do anything, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, all right. So a couple things. I mean, there are only two things that are probably projects for him, right? One of them is throwing. And I think that's the big one. That's the number one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, because the other things, with pitch comm being a thing, can be easily fixed. You can just give the pitcher the pitch comm. If you're not sure you trust him to call the game the way that you want, the pitcher can do that. And in a lot of cases, pitchers choose to do that for themselves anyway. And I don't know what Dustin May does on that. I don't know what the Cardinals' individual preferences are, but they don't have as many old school veterans that probably like it the other way. They have a lot more younger guys in this who might be okay with just doing it themselves. But either way, I think pitch calling and running a game and handling pitchers is really critical, and it's more important than throwing because it's every pitch. But I think it's less important than it used to be because of pitch comm and the pitcher's ability to just have a direct input into that, as opposed to, shake no, step off. You're not in that position. But his framing was league average last year. His blocking was league average last year. Like, I don't think we have a lot to learn with those basic things. If he can't throw runners out, he's not going to catch. And that's my worry about the injury is if it's still a problem now, I'm not sure I see a path for it to be good enough by opening day.
Yeah, and I guess my biggest concern with him catching is that he gets banged up and he goes on the injury list. Because last year he just could not prove that he can stay healthy behind the plate. And if you go down the line of this experiment and then all of a sudden he gets injured and he misses 2 months, like I realize expectations for this team are not really high. I still want to see them win as many games as possible. I still want to see them be as competitive as possible. And there is not a bat in this lineup that's more important than Ivan Herrera's bat. So that is a gamble. That he is not in his major league career shown that he can stay healthy while also being a catcher. And I just, for the sake of this team having a respectable season, I don't want to see them get burned on that gamble.
I would agree with you on that one. And, and this is my experience at the amateur level. So it doesn't necessarily apply directly to a guy who's a major league talent. But the hardest thing to fix in a short amount of time is your throwing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. I mean, when you're talking about velocity, and that's one of his biggest weaknesses. If you look at him last year, he was 84th out of 90 catchers in arm strength.
And he wasn't accurate either.
No, and that's the point, right? So he doesn't just have to build velo, which he does coming off an elbow surgery, but he also has to put the ball in the bag, which he does not do, and he also takes a little too long to get rid of it. So, I think that those three things make it really challenging in a short amount of time to make any meaningful jump. But that is, to your point, though, I think your point is really important in this. But you're not asking him to be every day. If he's going to be in there behind the plate, he's probably going to be in there, once or twice a week, just as a way to have your best offensive lineup in there. And I do want to correct myself because I looked it up. He gets rid of the ball okay. His exchange time's fine. It's not a real problem. So it's the accuracy and the velocity that are the problem.
But it also creates a roster situation where you have to have two other catchers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Aaron kind of gets into that right here. Says you have too many catchers. I mean, we won't see Rainiel Rodriguez until 2030. It's going to be before that. but Pages, Crooks, Bernal, and Pozo does give you a lot of depth. And in looking at that, Crooks and Bernal are legit prospects, right? They're not, Pages is not a prospect. He's just a good defensive catcher right now, right? 27-year-old. I think he kind of is what he is. But those other two guys are pretty good catching prospects, and Pozo is a really nice depth guy.
Yeah, and I just, if I had to predict right now, I'd say it's Herrera, Pages, and Crooks on the opening day roster, and Pozo at AAA. By the way, Bernal was the catcher today for Libby's
cool.
live BP.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk more pitching coming up next. I want to talk, Matt, about the depth, because starting pitching depth has been a major problem for this team, but I think we're past that. I'm not sure about the quality yet. We'll get to that and the depth part coming up next here on KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Winter is tough on homes. Ice and wind often lead hidden damage you can't see from the ground. Don't wait for the first spring showers to discover a leak. Get the Happy Roofers Spring Readiness Checkup today. We perform a thorough, risk-free inspection to ensure your roof is solid. With our Spring Smile Guarantee, you get guaranteed workmanship and total peace of mind. We always deliver happy endings. Visit thehappyroofer.com or call 314-665-3001.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
Still seeing delays westbound 64 from Timberlake Manor down the hill into Chesterfield Valley past Chesterfield Parkway West. Drivers are coming to a stop there on this 64 at Clarkson Road camera. So pay attention as you're coming into the Chesterfield Valley on 64 westbound. Out of the city westbound on 64, you've got your normal pockets of volume that's starting at the Science Center out to about Hampton. Southbound 170 remains a little busy now. South of Ladue, headed towards Highway 64. Southbound 270 is thinning out. Just a pocket of volume up near Olive. South of there, it opens up, making your way down towards Doherty Ferry. I'm Frank Ladd of the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, Thursday on Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley down in Jupiter. Kevin Wheeler with you here in our KMOX studios in St. Louis. Staying with our pitchers and catchers themes for these couple of days, and obviously when full squad reports, we'll be expanding on that topic. Well, of course, we can expand whenever we want, but I'm interested in the pitching and catching stuff since that's all we've got right now. And Matt, we've talked a lot, and we have hit this quite a bit periodically here and there throughout the offseason because a lot of the Cardinals' moves have been very much about creating starting pitching depth, something this team didn't have last year, in part because of injuries. I mean, part of it was some prospects, Tink Hentz, Matthews, who else am I missing in there? Cooper Jerby, Jacoa Roby. So there, injuries at the upper levels to some of your pitching prospects limited some of that depth. But I think this year they have taken care of that because you've got 7-8 guys in legit competition for big league spots to start the spring. And you got a few are going to be there, right? Liberatore's going to be there. May's going to be there. McGreevy's going to be there. Palante probably, unless he stinks. But then you've got Leahy in that mix. You've got Richard Fitz. You've got Dobbins. And I think what's really great about where they are now is those are not the only guys you're going to have access to on the mound to start games as you go along, because Bryson Motts is now closer. We'll see about Hentz and whether or not he ends up in the pen. But you've also got a guy like Ishan Henderson who had a big year at AA, which puts him that much closer to being in the big leagues. So, I really, and not to mention that, hey, look, some of the guys you acquired, like Jurangelo St. He hit AA last year in his first pro season. It's not crazy to think you could see him at some point this year.
You didn't mention Quinn Matthews.
I didn't mention Quinn Matthews. There's another one.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we won't mention Liam Doyle, but there is a chance that we can see him by the end of the season.
Again, it's not crazy. It's not necessary or definitely going to happen, but it's not crazy.
Yeah. So and last year, if we want to relitigate last year, Cardinals did a terrible job of creating starting pitching depth at the upper levels of, and thank God they didn't have any injuries in the starting rotation, which is absolutely unheard of.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
crazy.
Unheard of. If they would have had just the normal
this year,
amount of injuries, of course it will. If they would have had the normal amount of injuries last year, I don't know who they would have been throwing out there.
Yeah.
But this is reason number 1, 2, and 3 with exclamation points of why I think the team can be better than people think it's going to be, because they're not sending Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty out there 2 out of 5 starts. And if I disagree with you, actually, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Andre Palante's in the rotation. I think he has to legit win the job. I think he's on the exact same standing as a Kyle Leahy and a Richard Fitz. Hunter Dobbins is a little bit behind right now because of injury.
Yeah.
He's going to they told us today he's going to have a follow-up appointment next week. But he's not.
Sounds like not opening day.
Yeah. So let's throw him out for just like
at least
the
for
beginning
opening
of the
day,
season.
but maybe May, June, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Not long after, but he may not be in the mix to try to win a rotation spot on that opening day roster. But I like this starting pitching. I really do, especially compared to what it was last year. I think it's going to be so much better this season, and that can go a long way towards getting more wins.
I agree. And I think that, it's not, we don't know that they're all going to be good. That's not really the point. The point is having enough people with interesting major league talent. Different looks, different quality pitches. We got more velo in there, right? I mean, it's not like Dobbins and Fitz light up the radar gun based on 2026 standards, but they're both mid-90s.
Yeah, they're fine.
Like they're both above average when it comes to their velo, and they both have pitches that get swing and miss. And you're in a position now where when somebody's dinged up, you can rest them. You're in a position now, if you want to give somebody a break, you don't just have Michael McGreevy waiting around to okay, when do we need a sixth starter to give guys a break? Now you've got a bunch of them that are going to be readily available. And even if a few get hurt, that means you still have a few left, which they did not have last year.
They're going to have some decisions to make on guys who don't make it into the rotation, if they want them to go to AAA and to start, or if they want them in the bullpen at the major league level. That's something that Ali talked about a little bit today.
Yeah.
And it's going to depend on which guys don't make the rotation and what makes the most sense. And Kevin, may I have your permission to be a smart aleck for just a moment?
No, you're not allowed. It's not
allowed.
Please do.
Where are all the people who would show up on our little comment section saying, same old Cardinals, they're going to re-sign Miles Michaelis. There's no difference between Chaim Bloom and John Mozeliak. It's still the DeWitts. I promise you, Miles Michaelis is going to be a Cardinal. It's a guarantee that Michaelis is going to be back. And you and me and everybody else said over and over and over, there was basically a 0% chance of Michaelis being back, if for no other reason because of kind of what he represents and as the Cardinals moving in another direction. When I get things wrong, I raise my hand, Kevin. I say when I get things wrong. I have not seen a single comment from any of these people who were just convinced that Miles Michaelis was going to be back with the Cardinals and nothing was going to change. I haven't seen anybody go, oh, okay, he's a National now.
It's a hard thing for me to understand because I see the same thing. It's not always about the pitching. It can be about player development, it can be about anything where, people are saying, well, I don't trust this team. Like, well, hold on a second. It's different people.
Yeah.
And now there's a chance that in a year or two, we may see the same problems or different problems, right? I mean, it won't necessarily be exactly the same. And we'll talk about those. If that happens, we'll talk about those flaws too. But you do kind of have to let it play out because look, the owner signs off on the budget. The owner signs off on the direction of the program. And he's clearly done that with what they've allowed Chaim Bloom to do. Rebuilding the minor league system, upgrading the technology. The facility upgrade down in Jupiter was already underway. As you pointed out yesterday, that was Mo's baby. But they've already signed off on the parts that ownership controls. And they've given the keys to Bloom to do this the way that he sees best because he's the baseball guy. So we got to let him have his time. It's not a matter of saying we know he's awesome. We know it's going to be a championship team in 3 years. It's not that because we can't know those things. But you do have to let it play out because there's literally no other option.
Yeah, it's not fair to apply the standards of the last regime to what's going on with this regime.
Good job, Luke.
Thanks,
Our buddy Luke on the stream, for those listening on the radio, texted in all caps, same old Cardinals. And then after that said, just kidding, Matt, keep up the great work. Yeah, I think it's, if nothing else, and it is more than this, because I think you needed this stuff upgrade. I've been on the stuff thing now for probably 6-7 years with the Cardinals. I mean, going back to before I returned to KMOX, because they've been behind on it for that long. Because they've always relied on innings and contact and defense, and the game has been evolving away from that. And not to say that you don't need good defense, of course you do, and you do need innings, of course, but you also need to miss bats. Mm-hmm. You also need to miss bats, and that's probably the most encouraging thing to me about the changes is that you don't have a ton yet. You're not there yet, but you have more people that have the ability to miss bats not only, that will be on the major league roster this year, but that are going to be there in the next year or two.
Yeah, the influx of potential high ceiling pitching has been pretty impressive, and it's happened in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and look, this is what happens when you trade away proven players. You're able to go get unproven players with high ceiling, and that's why that's what the definition of a rebuild is. It's taking the assets you have now to get more of the young assets with high upside, and then when a few of them hit, great, and the ones that don't, that's going to happen. But you're still moving forward because you have those younger guys that are going to be inexpensive with the skill set that you need.
Yep.
That's the way it's going to go. That's Matt Pauley down in Jupiter. I'm Kevin Wheeler here in St. Louis. Stick around. Rush Hour Sports continues. Next up on Redbird Rush Hour, we're going to talk a little bit about labor. There's some really interesting stories today about the upcoming labor discussions. We'll just kick around some of those issues next up here on KMOX.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
At 5:30, this update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Right now, we've got a blue sky standing at 50 degrees downtown at the Arch. Governor Mike Kehoe says the fractured relationship between Kansas City and state leaders has been repaired, and that unity is now the key to keeping the Royals in Missouri. He tells Fox 2 the infighting of the past has been replaced by a team effort to get a stadium deal done.
Working very hard on the Royals. Great conversations with the leadership group and the leadership ownership themselves. City of Kansas City, Jackson County, and the state of Missouri are speaking in one voice to the Royals organization.
Kehoe says they're focused on a financial package for a site at Washington Square Park before the legislative session ends. Illinois lawmakers are weighing changes to how sports betting is taxed and how it's defined in the state. Here's Glenn Marshall.
House Gaming Committee Chair Daniel Didek has introduced legislation to eliminate the per-bet surcharge placed on mobile sports books. The fee requires operators to pay 25 to 50 cents per wager at the end of each fiscal year. And according to Endgame, the surcharge has generated more than $62 million since it was added to the state's budget last year. Now, Didek is also backing a proposal to expand the definition of sports wagering. The measure would include prediction markets tied to games or even the individual player statistics. That means activities like trading or selling event-based contracts could fall under Illinois sports betting regulations.
The city of St. Louis is missing about $14 million because of thousands of residents who have overdue water bills.
Special Assistant to the City Water Commission, Spencer Gould, says the number continues to rise. This comes after a temporary pause was lifted on water shutoffs for residents who deferred their payments. A temporary assistance program is now available for most city residents with overdue bills. Gould says the one-time assistance can total $500 for residents who are eligible.
We do have funds going quickly. So we recently expanded our household income, and we're seeing that number go down quick. So I would tell anyone, if they have a delinquent bill or we think this program might assist them, to apply sooner than later before it's all utilized.
Gould says the program could assist up to 2,000 residents, and it's funded by a one-time ARPA allotment. Beth Coughlin, KMOX News.
How much of an edge can aerodynamics give Winter Olympics athletes?
If a country has an athlete that has the potential to medal, they'll stick them in a harness and put them in a wind tunnel to help teach those athletes how to position their body right.
That's Mark McQuilling, a professor of aerospace and mechanical engineering at St. Louis University on Total Information AM. McQuilling also points out the fabric used can reduce drag on athletes or give them flaps.
Even a few millimeters of extra fabric can give them over the entire distance of the jump a few feet, maybe a few meters extra length in their jump.
McQuilling says those kinds of enhancements are often so effective they're banned from use in competition. Weddings are expensive, but not tomorrow. St. Louis City Hall can host as many free weddings as they can between 10 and 2. You can bring up to 10 people with you to witness the nuptials. The wedding is free, but the license will cost $60. Forecast from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk. Cloudy tonight, low 34 degrees. For Friday, sunshine and a high of 55. Right now it's 50. It feels like 45 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. So I did something that a lot of people have been doing recently. Not a lot of people are talking about. I jumped on the GLP-1 bandwagon, and we're going to see how it works out. I went to the great folks over at STL, at St. Louis Weight Loss Injections, stlweightlossinjections.com. When I was talking to them about it, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to go through it and share exactly what happens with people who listen so they get an idea as well. So I did my first injection on Monday. They said I might get a little bit nauseous and a little bit sick. I didn't. I didn't really feel much of anything. I have not eaten as much. It's pretty remarkable how much less you eat immediately after it. It's at times I'm eating food just to make sure that I'm getting something in me. So we know it works, and now we're going to find out how it works with me, and I'll share that with you as I go along for this journey. If it's something you've been considering, I would strongly encourage you to head over to St. Louis Weight Loss Injections, or at least give them a call. They were great. I sat down, I talked with them. I'm a big guy. I work out every single day. I eat rather healthy. I just have a hard time losing weight. And they talked to me about what this is going to look like and how this can be a really positive thing in my life. So I would give you the advice to just talk to them. $199 for the first month. Again, you can schedule an appointment just by going to their website. It's stlweightlossinjections.com, stlweightlossinjections.com.
Here in St. Louis, we take pride in supporting our health and our community. That's why more and more families are turning to Neovitin multivitamins, created by a local physician and made right here in the U.S. using the highest quality domestic and international ingredients. With formulas for men, women, and adults 50 plus, Neovitin helps keep St. Louis families energized, supported, and ready for life. Find Neovitin at your local Dierbergs, Schnucks, and online at neovitin.com. Neovitin. Trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
2 St. Louis icons, 1 legendary tribute. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC at Powell Hall on Sunday, February 15th for Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with performances by special guests including conductor Anthony Parthener, Grammy Award-winning artist Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes, and our city's own Kennedy Homes. This is your chance to experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
I was ordering food from our usual place for the big meeting. My VP said, "Please, God, no."
For workplaces suffering with corporate catering deficiency, every day's a struggle.
The food was always meh and over budget. Before Easy Cater, I thought that was normal.
Easy Cater is designed to treat CCD with a huge variety of restaurants, help meet dietary needs, and stay on budget. Used daily, one platform lets you save time and thrive. Ask your web browser about EasyCater or start an order at easycater.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Many times, a person hires a law firm after an injury without doing research. It can be a big mistake or not. Sometimes, after you have hired a certain lawyer, you realize you made a certain mistake. But guess what? Just because you hire them doesn't mean you can't fire them. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you think you've hired the wrong firm, you may have. So do this. Google Morgan & Morgan results or visit forthepeople.com for cases just like yours. You may find that our full-service injury firm should have been your choice in the first place. Last year, almost 12,000 people discharged their law firm and hired us after further research. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com today and let's get started. Or call Pound Law on your cell phone. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we got reports of a new crash, 55 southbound, south of South Broadway. It's a little bit of a slowdown there as you make your way into the road construction zone. South of there, pretty good run headed towards Highway 255. Southbound on 270 this afternoon. We've thinned out completely now between Page and Doherty Ferry. We continue to thin out as well westbound on Highway 64 between Timberlake Manor and Chesterfield Parkway West, headed through the Chesterfield Valley area. We're not seeing any delays now westbound on Highway 64. Westbound Highway 70 is delay-free most of the afternoon, starting at the Blanchette Bridge, making your way out to Wentzville. I'm Frank Ladd in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour continues. Matt Pauley's down in Jupiter covering things in spring training. Kevin Wheeler here. I'm up in St. Louis in our KMOX studios doing the normal thing. And obviously, Matt, one of the big stories that we will all be talking about for the entire baseball season is the labor setup. We got,
unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. I hate it too. And we will try to limit it. But I mean, sometimes it's going to be important, and sometimes it's going to be just we find out a little bit something about one side or the other. And today's kind of that. Evan Drellick's got a really great piece on The Athletic that kind of breaks down the back and forth. And the headline is, what would MLB look like with the salary cap? And it's explaining the wide-ranging, game-changing effects. And it kind of goes through what it does, what it doesn't do. And there's comments from each side of the argument. There's an ESPN story by Jeff Passan that does a lot of the same things. That's kind of talking about the back and forth and how the owners want to justify something. But I wanted to highlight a specific part of this that Evan Drellick wrote, because I think it's really the interesting thing and the most difficult part to me about any kind of salary cap and floor conversation. Because I don't care what anybody makes. I'm not worried about what owners make. I'm not worried about what players make. I'm not worried about franchise values. And I think that owners should probably be less worried about franchise value and more worried about the health of the long-term health of the sport. Because if you don't fix that, then the other stuff's not going to matter. But I thought it was interesting that Drellick had a source, and this is from ownership's side. Okay. Here's the sentence in the story that describes it. He said, a reasonable goal regarding a salary cap, a reasonable goal from an ownership perspective might be $240 million at the top and $160 million at the bottom. And that's, again, a management source who spoke anonymously. And I see those numbers and I say that doesn't fix a damn thing. An $80 million gap between the top and the bottom doesn't level the playing field.
It doesn't. And I'm sure the players will say the ceiling isn't high enough. And I actually kind of agree with them on that. That number seems a little low to me.
Yep.
But no, to your, it works in other, and I'm works like in air quotes, because as we've talked about before,
It doesn't actually change competitiveness. Yeah.
right. But in the sense that, like in the NFL, just about every team gets into the at least gets into the playoffs every 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Like that, if that's the standard that we're doing it by, then I guess there's parity in the NFL. And the thing is, it's not about a cap and a floor. It's about basically every team spending about the same amount of money.
Yes. And that's the point of a cap system, is that a cap and a floor system is that the floor is close to the cap. Right? In this case, the cap would be 50% more than the floor.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't do what it says. Here's what it does do. It protects the big market owners from themselves, because they're the only ones being limited by a $240 million cap, right? It protects the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, Phillies, a handful of teams that go above that number from going that high, which means all it means for them is they're going to pocket more money. That's it. They won't have to spend. They won't be able to spend. One of the ownership guys' side of this, and I forget which story it was in. I don't remember if it was in Evan Drellick's or if it was in Passon's, made the point that the big market owners want it because then they won't feel the pressure to go up to $350 million based on their fans being upset, that they would be protected from that and they get to pocket the extra money. First of all, what a cheapskate you are if that's your concern. Those teams make so much money, it's beyond crazy. Those teams are at $700 million in revenue before they sell a ticket.
Yeah, I don't love the idea of not allowing teams to reinvest profits back into the team. Now, the counterpoint of that is, well, you can still go spend that money elsewhere. You can find
on tech,
other
on international scouting. Yeah.
But as we've mentioned before, the cost to add new computers and new tech is the cost of a middle relief pitcher for a year. Like that's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. So giving owners at the highest level the excuse to stop reinvesting in their team, I don't think that's great for the sport either. I hate talking about this right now because I am somebody that when we address a problem, I want to have a solution, a resolution to go along with it. And I really don't on this, because we also have to talk like in a real world perspective. And Kevin, we both realize that from a real, first off, probably there's never going to be a true cap, a hard cap in our lifetime. I still believe that that's not something the players are going to go for, although I don't believe that as strongly now as I did, say, 2 months ago. So I at least open up the possibility that the owners could try to push this. But what I know for sure is they are never going to have a cap and a floor so close to each other that teams are actually spending around the same amount of money. So then we're just stuck in this same situation.
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for it.
And then you also have an out for everyone, right? Because then the smaller teams can still cry poor. We can't go above 160. It's all we can afford. And you got the same, rather than just, this is why it's frustrating to me, because I'm with you. It's not necessarily realistic, and it's not realistic because of the nature of owners. They just need to share the revenue. They just need to share the revenue more equally. If you do that, then a cap and a floor can work like it does in the NFL. But they want to half-ass it. They want the benefit of cost control so their franchise values can go up, but they don't want to sacrifice anything to get it.
Yeah. And that's why I talk about this all the time, and nobody seems to want to get on this plan with me. I think that if you did go to some sort of floor system, but also had revenue sharing to go along with it, there has to be a requirement that you spend every penny
of your revenue sharing
in revenue sharing. So if the floor is 160 and you get $25 million in revenue sharing, then it's the floor for you is 185.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to spend 185, then you don't get revenue.
You don't get the money. Right.
Yeah. That for me, that's real change.
Yeah.
That's something where you're actually forcing teams to spend money.
Yeah. It's frustrating to me because I can see the real solution. The real solution is take away the luxury tax benefit to deferring money. Get rid of that. All dollars count, AAV, period. Number of dollars divided by number of years, period, the end. That's your cap hit, right? So get rid of that. Share revenue much more equally, and then make the same kinds of penalties on the bottom end of the scale that you have at the top end of the scale. So if you're going to be below a certain number, you're getting penalized. And if you're going to be there second year, you're going to get penalized more, just like we do at the top end of the spectrum. And you can do things very simply that way. But it all starts with having to share the revenue more. I mean,
and the small market owners just won't go for it.
Well, I think they would if they were getting more from their big brothers. But like when the Dodgers want their $1 billion in revenue and they want their competitive advantage and they aren't willing to share it more, well, then that's not going to happen.
I disagree, Kevin. I disagree 100%. Those small market owners salivate at the idea of more revenue sharing because they get to put more money in their pockets, not because they get to spend more money. No.
But I mean, you have to, as part of it, you have to require it. I mean, you're right about that. It has to be a part of the CBA, just like anything else. So if you want to get revenue sharing, then you have to spend a certain amount or you don't get it.
These small market owners, like the example is them standing on the street, somebody handing you $10 for a meal, putting your $10 in your pocket, and then saying, I don't have money for a meal. That's what they would do.
Not if you tell them they can't. And the trade-off for that is you get more revenue certainty.
I don't think they're going to go for that system.
Yeah, well, I think the bigger problem is that the Dodgers and Yankees don't want to share. Well, we got more baseball coming up here in a second. Before we do, I want to tell you about Gloria Lou. If you're looking at selling your home this spring, don't wait till the spring to start the process, because if you do, you won't be selling it until the summer. So if you want to do that, you want to do that now and get to Gloria Lou. And I'm going to tell you, if you've not heard Gloria's spots, or you haven't heard me talk about her, it's a really simple process. I've gotten a chance to know Gloria Lou, who is, of course, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and I understand the systems now. She has explained to me how they work. They make total sense, and she's got the edge. And here's how she has the edge. She sells homes faster and for more money than other agents. And that's because of the systems that they have in play. They have thousands of buyers in waiting. So your home might already have a buyer waiting. You just don't know it because you're not working with Gloria Lou. She's helped thousands of families in 23 years of experience. 23 years in real estate is a lot of time to pick up knowledge. And the average agent sells 4 or 5 homes a year. Gloria sells one about every other day, which tells you about the level that they're operating at. So you've got a couple choices here if you want to work with Gloria Lou. You can go for the upfront written guarantee on 1 or 2 choices. She will sell your home at a price and a time frame acceptable to you, or she will buy it herself. Another option is she will sell your home at 100% of market value, or she'll pay you the difference. Nobody else is going to give you those 2 guarantees. So when you're ready, here's what you do. Call Gloria Lou, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. And remember, seller and Gloria must agree on price and possession date.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the traffic maps and cameras, westbound Highway 64, you've got residual volume now passing Hampton out to McCausland. Southbound 170 continues to thin out, headed towards Highway 64. West of there, westbound on Highway 64, a great run now through the valley out towards St. Charles, westbound on 64. Headed eastbound into the Metro East, not seeing any delays now. Eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge, eastbound on the Musial Veterans Bridge. We got a traffic note starting overnight tonight, but it's only tonight, starting at 7:30. Crews will have the ramp from westbound 5564, the Poplar Street Bridge, to southbound 55 and westbound Highway 44 closed. That will close at 7:30 this evening, be back open by 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Detours will be in place to get around that closure to make your way from the westbound Poplar Street Bridge onto southbound 55, westbound Highway 44. I'm Frank Ladd of the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Can I take your coat?
Oh, you noticed. Yeah, I found it on eBay from a seller in Vegas. Pre-loved and perfect. She listed it and jackpot. Italian leather, classic trench silhouette. And did you see the braided buckle?
Hang on to your claim ticket.
Oh, I'll hang on to this forever. Have you been on eBay? There's so many finds. And I bet that diving watch would sell fast. Just saying.
Find what you love, sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
Unlock a brighter outdoor space in 2026 with Chesterfield Valley Nursery. Let us be your trusted partner for all your landscaping, lawn, and gardening needs, empowering you to create a haven that brings joy and serenity to your life. From landscape design to property maintenance to our garden center, we're here for you. Houseplants, tree shrubs, organic soil mixes, gardening and plant classes, and more. Chesterfield Valley Nursery's Garden Center has what you need no matter what the season. Visit us weekdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday hours start in March. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram for all class and sale updates.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, not much time left before we're going to buzz and end the Redbird Rush Hour and turn things over to the Countdown to Opening Day show. What are we looking at tonight, Matt?
Yeah, we got Matthew Liberatore is going to be on the show. New Cardinals TV broadcaster Danny Wexelman is going to be on
Very
the
cool,
show.
by the way. We didn't mention that earlier, but St. Louis, Danny's a St. Louis native.
Yeah.
Been with MLB Network Radio and MLB Network for a while, now going to be on the Cardinals TV side.
So I'm so happy for her. So she's going to be with us. We'll talk with some front office folks with the Cardinals just about the spring training complex redo. Ricky Horton's going to be joining us. So there's a lot going on over the next 2 hours.
Man, that's no joke.
You'll hear from Haim. You'll hear from Ollie. So, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's just like the show is great all the time, but I always, in my experience when doing the show back in the day, it was always greater in spring training because everybody's there.
Yes.
You get great access. All right, buddy, have fun with the show tonight. Matt Pauley and Mike Claiborne have the Countdown to Opening Day coming up after the news here on KMOX.
When it comes to planning your retirement,